Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today is Friday, so you know what that means. Grab something red because we remember everyone deployed every Friday. I hope that you guys got a chance, if you want to, because we're supposedly live in a free country, to go out and vote early. We're going to discuss that with Westwood. Does it matter? I don't know. But I tried. We went out. We spent 4.25 hours standing in the mostly freezing. Well, it wasn't actually freezing, but to me it was freezing. It was like 40 degrees. And waited, and we voted, and we were very specific about it. But I'll tell you all about it later, and I'll discuss it with Westwood. It was very interesting, and I met some great people in line, and that was probably the best part. So be right back. Hope you grab a drink, jump in the live chat with us and all of our great friends. Give us a like and share, mess up the algorithm because we'd like to do that. We'll be right back right after this. What's up, Westwood? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Excuse me.
Diwali Day? Diwali Day?
Oh, is it Diwali? Diwali or the Wendy or the wise guy? I don't know.
Is that a Hindu holiday? I can't remember what that is.
I don't know.
Muslim?
Maybe African. Let's hit them all. I don't know.
Wally.
I really don't know. Are your neighbors, playing music or anything?
I didn't see a lot of cars.
Okay, so maybe it's not that.
What is Diwali and why is it celebrated? It is also called, Diwali. It's a Hindu festival of lights and various variations celebrated in other Indian, so they might be religions such as something and Sikhism, symbolizing spiritual victory of Dharma over Adharma, light over darkness.
There you go.
Good over evil, knowledge over ignorance. Boy, we could use some of that. What do you do on Diwali Day? Setting off firecrackers. Oh, Lord, it's going to be a long night.
Just don't blow your fingers off if you're a Dodger fan.
What is that?
You didn't see that? No, there's some video going around where the guy lights them, and it shows that his hands are like fused together and bleeding because it blew up in his hand. Trying to light off fireworks for the Dodgers' victory, in the World Series. And this is what happens.
Seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. Didn't look good.
Okay. Well, I like the light over darkness part. So
I like that too. Light to dark, dark to light, dark to light.
I've also seen a ton of people feel like they are released to start playing Christmas music because
it's November 1st, of course.
Halloween is over, so they're like, okay. But when I was growing up, it was always the day after Thanksgiving. Our family tradition was the day after Thanksgiving, we put up the Christmas tree. And that's when Christmas started.
Well, here at the Westwood household, it's Christmas every day, so it really doesn't matter.
That's very true. I've been there.
It's true. Every day, all the time.
Every day, all the time. It is Christmas. The Amazon truck.
The Amazon truck. It's Christmas. Hey, every day.
Household bliss.
Somebody's showing up. Mm-hmm. Money go out, things come in. Yep. You'd be like Lisa and
for happiness.
Yes, I guess.
And sometimes evil, depending on whose hands it's being used.
Very true.
Very true. Very true. Oh, all of our friends found us. You guys, I apologize. It is my fault. I admit.
How's it going, guys? Anyway, no, I'm not going to do it.
I was being totally lazy. So I set up a stream yesterday for me and Johnny. And then the day got long and I totally blew it. And then Johnny and I were like, let's just hang out in the spaces after, hash it out. Johnny and I just hung out in Spaces and didn't do a show. And so then today, my husband and I spent 4 hours and 15 minutes in the wind and whatever. And then
And the brutal, bitter, torrential winds of the
40.
Oklahoma wide open spaces.
It was terrible to me. My fingers were freezing. Anyway, to me, that's cold. I know you don't.
Did you wear your mittens? Did you wear your mittens to vote? Everything's packed up.
And it was like mostly sunny, but then we got behind this big building because the line was so long.
Well,
I will say that I saw somebody posting on Twitter that they were thinking that it's a strategy. So instead of us using, they only had 2 locations for the entire of Oklahoma County, which is like the largest county in Oklahoma, for early voting. And
really?
we have so many days and so many hours. And some people, conspiracy theorists, not including myself, are saying that that part of that strategy is to cause these long lines,
Throttle it back,
to make people turn away. And we did see many people walk up and ask people like, wait, you're this far in line. How long have you been standing there? And people were like, oh, well, I'm about 2.5 hours in. And they're like, and you still have that far to go? Never mind. And they would turn away and they didn't stand in line.
Meanwhile, a truck drives up, with a bunch of ballots that got harvested, and they just walk in and dump them.
I didn't see that in Oklahoma, but I have heard.
We're all read down there.
We've all read different things on Twitter or whatever. But I did see a lot of people continue. And over 3 days, I've seen people posting on Facebook, friends of mine, whatever, that were happy to stand in line for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours to vote early. So if that was their plan, I don't know that it affected that much. There was also a thing for handicap voting where they could pull up in an area and park, and they could wait in line in their car, which I thought was a great opportunity for people that are handicapped.
Well, you could identify as disabled, I guess, and just whip right in.
Well, you have to have your handicap, and that is not easy to get.
Oh.
I do have that for Cannon, but then I would have to have Cannon in the car with me.
Oh, yeah, and he's not
would have to be
voting. So
voting.
it's like, well, in some places he probably could vote. Just saying.
Well, I would not do that. I would not feel
like
good.
5 times.
Yeah. So, anyway, so we were happy to do that. And I was really torn about it, to be honest, because I've had those conversations with, I am for I am. And he says, why would I vote? Because I can't see my vote. We know it didn't count last time. We felt cheated out of that. And so kind of the way just for everyone to understand kind of my processing, and I'm not saying for everyone else to do this, I'm just kind of unpacking why I made the decision to vote, was that whether they choose to do something bad with my vote, I'm going to participate, and I'm going to let my voice be heard. Now, if someone else chooses to do something bad with my vote, that's on them.
That's their karma.
Yeah.
That's theirs.
So that was I'm not going to not participate because, oh, well, they're going to steal it anyway. And you know what I mean? I'm not going to let somebody take my energy away.
Right.
I
get it. 100%.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let them steal that from me. So that's why I chose to vote today. And if it doesn't matter, then at least I did my part.
That's it.
So
yeah. I used to have a friend that said, if you don't vote, then you got no right to bitch. No, I don't agree with that. I mean, because, we live in a republic and, we have rights inherently, so it doesn't matter who's really in charge. They're supposed to respect that, that Constitution. But yeah, that's what he would always say. Kind of funny.
Well, I think our rights are God given.
Right.
It has nothing to do with whether you vote or not.
Mhm.
Your right's not about your voting. But I think for me, like,
I get where he's coming from, though.
the reason that I voted was because I'm not going to let them steal it from me without, before I even do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We'll have more votes cast than people in the country watch. They'll be like, wait a minute, what?
And maybe
What
Elon
happened?
really is. There's one theory out there. One of the theories out there is that Elon has his magical satellites out there watching. I don't know how this would happen. I'm not a techie, but that somehow the early voting is going to. Oh, and I do want to share this with you guys because I shared it last night on Spaces. That Elon is somehow out there, watching the early voting, and that the early voting is going to have like numbers that hit so many people that are registered in the states that, well, once we get to voting day, it's not possible to have any more.
No, sorry, we already hit the magic number. It's like, the fire marshal's got a sign. Only 451 people that can possibly be in this building. As soon as you hit that many votes, it's like, that's it.
Yeah,
We
we've
all
already
voted.
had everyone vote,
It's
so
over.
we aren't expecting any more votes.
It's like
Thanks.
how, yep, we're done. Close up shop.
Everyone can go home.
Roll down the gate in the mall, the store.
And actually, as I say that, so you guys know, a lot of you know, if you've been watching my channel, I have been, ever since Ben and I went on
On your roundabout.
back when
Road trip.
back when he used to do all the history stuff, and I loved all that, and we'd go on road trips.
What'd you call that show? It was Lisa Learning with Lisa.
Educating Lisa.
Educating Lisa. That's it.
Yeah, and we would drive for like 17 hours one way, 17 hours back, and by the end of it, like literally he'd get to Oklahoma and he literally could not speak.
Yeah.
Like, he could not talk because I was asking him so many questions that he would like call his wife and go, I'm on my way, because I just would pick his brain because he's brilliant about all the history and all that stuff. Where is the video of him doing the truck? The first time I heard, this got me so excited when we saw Trump at the garbage truck.
Yeah.
It's the garbage truck thing. And he pulled up, and the first thing he said was 250,000 million. He said, that's the number, 250 million. Yeah, I can't find it now.
Of course, scrubbed it.
Well, you guys know. I think most of you guys heard it. But then he's continued to say that at his rallies. It's 250 million, 250 million. That's the number. And so what Ben had explained to me was back in 19 something, there was this big fire. So back when the United States was being settled, census used to be taken through the post office. Mm-hmm. But they had the Pony Express, would ride out, and people would take the census, and then they would need so many days to bring the census back to the post office. So instead of it being able to be counted the same day, there had to be like so many days in between and all this. So there were all these different laws around it. Well, now we don't need that because we can use digital stuff and all that. But back in the day, the laws had to be different. Then it was all brought back to, wasn't it St. Louis? Or was it Chicago?
I don't know.
Remember. Anyway, wherever it was. Oh, I think it was Chicago because that was where the big fire was, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked over a lantern.
Yes. So the census was being kept at the post office because the post office was also the bank back then. So they kept the census there, and then there was this big fire because they needed to destroy the census to rig the count.
Kind of like the Murrah building, kind of like Building 7. Kind of like the same old song and dance.
When they need to destroy the data to manipulate the numbers or whatever, then they have these crises. So they needed to destroy the number of people because they wanted to control the seats in the Senate and Congress. So they needed the numbers of people to be destroyed so they had more power in Congress or the Senate or whatever. And so they
Probably
created this
Congress, because that's based on
fire.
population. Yeah, the
Yes,
House.
yes. So, and then the fire didn't actually destroy all the papers. So then they sent a flood in or something ridiculous, right?
Start the rapture. Oh, telegraph. Start the rapture. Whatever we got to do, do it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
EMP.
Weather stuff.
Yeah.
And then that turned into that washed out the rest of it. And so this is where that was when the census was originally destroyed. From that point forward, our census has been manipulated to manipulate seats in Congress. From that point forward, they have not just manipulated the vote, but that's how like Congress, and they've been, moving the, redistricting things.
Gerrymandering.
Yes, all
Yeah.
of that, you guys. This is so much bigger.
Well, you got to think about it, because you can swing it and say, "Oh, well, California has 100 million people, so we need all these seats." And it's like, okay, once that like gets conservative, or it was at one point, but I mean, well, Illinois needs all these new seats now. Whatever, you can manipulate it, based on population, you get more seats. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I can see how that would happen.
What did Biden say? It's not about the votes. It's who counts the vote.
Yeah, wasn't that who else said that?
It's
Maybe
the
Stalin or something.
electoral votes, you guys. It's once again, I voted, but does my vote really count, Westwood?
You voted for someone to vote for you at the
voted for
convention or
someone
the
to vote
Electoral
for me.
College. Yeah, yeah.
The Electoral College.
And I mean, that is a check, though. I mean, it is a check and a balance. Having the Electoral College. So there's mechanisms in place to try to, because the founding fathers were really afraid of mob rule. A democracy is not a good thing, and so all these people talking about, oh, democracy, democracy, democracy. Where 51% of the people get to eat 49% of the people, and take all their stuff. I mean, because it's mob rule, and I mean that was a big thing that the founding fathers were concerned with, and that's why we have all these checks, balances, and representation, and it's important to have that, because I mean, if you just got a 51% vote, I mean, 49% of the people lose. I mean, half the people get screwed. And so that's, a dangerous thing, mob rule. And they tried to prevent that as best they could through all these things they implemented in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where.
And that's why every Democrat's like, oh, we just need a popular vote. We don't need the Electoral College. We just need population. So they'll load up California with 50 million illegals, and it's like, hey, yeah, we'll make rules over here, but that's going to influence the whole country then. And it's like, wait a minute, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Two wolves and what did they say? 2 wolves and a rabbit.
Yeah, 2 wolves and a sheep arguing what's for dinner or something.
What's for dinner is a democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our country is not a democracy.
No, it's a democratic form of government, but it is not a democracy.
Right.
That's like where everybody votes. Like I said, 51%, 50% plus 1 defeats everybody else. And that's not good. Yeah. That's why you need 2/3 of the Senate for certain things, 2/3 of the House. I mean, it's not just even in those chambers to where, and the president can veto it, and then they can bring a bill back to the House and the Senate, and then 2/3 have to vote for it. So you need 2/3 of each house to vote for it to override the president. So you got all these checks and balances so that it doesn't become tyrannical. So it's important.
So
it's a good system. It's just they don't really always follow the rules.
Yeah. Speaking of rules, so Trump keeps mentioning the secret, or was it the secret?
We got a surprise or something we've been working on.
So I had heard that, and I'm trying to find it. I don't have the exact details, but that after the last election train wreck, that they had passed a thing where, because I heard that the Dems are saying they think they have it, that even if Trump wins, Kamala, because she is the vice president, she's going to refuse to certify the election, just like, it's Pence's job to traditionally the vice president
Not anymore.
the election. They had they passed something that
Yep.
changed it. And so
Yeah, it's like you need 20% now, or I think 1/5. It used to be just one person could protest it. Now it's got to be 20% to dispute the election, I guess, I think is what it is.
Okay.
They passed something in one of the bills that got passed. It might have been the Ukrainian bailout bill or something.
Yes, they attached
They threw that in there.
Yes.
And so we're upset. I was upset, Mike Johnson, like, why are you effing sending more money? And then it's like, well, maybe he's slipped a little something in there that, might be necessary going forward and we don't know about. And okay, I'm willing to kind of wait a little bit and see what happens and how it unfolds. And, we'll see.
Because that was the other night when Trump was talking and he said, well, Gates and
Johnson,
we have a little secret, or
Mhm.
he did some kind of.
And he actually said, we'll find out. Maybe it's after the election. We'll find out. It says we're going to find out really quick. Maybe right after the election. I think is what he said.
And if that happens, and we have a constitutional crisis, and they roll into a Speaker of the House, so the president fails. And then they roll into a situation where it's like, oh, the Speaker of the House needs to become president, and they have to vote on who is the Speaker of the House, and it can be anyone.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
Before, and they were like voting, and then when like Gates suggested Trump at that one time.
Yeah. I nominate Donald J. Trump. Like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Who knows where it's going to go? Again, it goes back to what we've talked about, the Choose Your Own Adventure book. I mean, there's so many different pathways that this could take, and I don't know what's going to happen. I know that, again, may you live in interesting times, the Chinese proverb, and here we are, and we're watching this unfold, and we're, 4 days away? 4 days away from remember the 5th of November, little Guy Fawkes thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We don't have to wait long now, right?
Yeah.
We're here.
Be long. We are here. There's so many things. There's, I do think it's interesting. I guess CNN was calling out Camala for pushing both the Hamas and the and of course that's not on Twitter as well. Oh goodness, why is this happening? I guess she was pushing both narratives, and CNN called her out for it. And I don't remember, there was one point where somebody good bought CNN out way back.
I can't remember. They got rid of that Jeff Zucker. They kind of forced him out. I can't remember who ended up.
Who ended up buying that?
I'm not sure who it was. Mark Cuban? No.
I don't think that was a good guy. So it's like
that guy, what a mess.
Harris campaign ads are micro-targeting Michigan and Pennsylvania. So ads running in Pennsylvania where undecided Jewish voters could factor into the state's outcome highlight how she'll stand up for Israel's right to defend itself. Meanwhile, ads targeted in Michigan with its large Arab American population highlight how she will not be silent about human suffering in Gaza. And so this is CNN calling her out.
You can't have both sides of the battle, right? What are you, Rothschild? You think you can be on both sides of the fence here? Come on.
But to see CNN, which is typically a libtard rag,
right?
Then my brain went wait a minute, do you not remember that
something did happen with them, didn't it? I can't remember what it was. I don't know who ended up owning it. Somebody search it up, fact check it, It's like Joe Rogan. It's like, oh, look that up right now, and boom, boom, there it is.
Yeah, but he's got like a whole staff of people
Yeah.
looking.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I did you watch the interview with Joe Rogan and JD Vance?
I did not watch the JD Advance one.
I was watching it today, and I got like 20 minutes left. And I tell you, I mean,
What'd
I
you
got my
think?
issues with JD. I mean, there's some things, relationships that he's had, but I'll tell you what, he's a very smart guy. He can, just like Trump, he can discuss anything. And it was a very nice, fluid conversation. It was like 3 hours and 17 minutes long.
Mhm.
And it was just, I mean, he's a sharp guy. I mean, you know, he's in tune and very well educated. He is a little bit of a, drops a few, you know, so he's got kind of a nasty mouth. And he even said that. He says, yeah, you know, I'm kind of, you know, drop some F-bombs and drops some language. And
It's
but
all
I
right.
think that's relatable to a lot of people. I think it is.
There's
I
a
don't,
time for strong language. I mean,
yeah. And I mean,
words have power.
yeah.
Um, and there is a time to use, I mean, my mom taught me that,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, language has
In the beginning, there was the word. I mean, that's what it is. You think about it, you know, it was created from the
exactly.
word, you know,
Yeah.
and I think we've lost the language of
Mhm.
words and what those words mean, that breath, that spirit, that air that breathes that into existence. It's important. I mean, words
Well,
do
and
matter.
society creates rules to disempower people and
Mhm.
tell them you can't use those words.
Right. And
And
they had a good discussion about that in that interview too, you know, about, you know, well, you can say this, but you can't say this. And, you know, just, you know, it was kind of funny because, you
why
know,
not?
calling it out in the open, how silly and absurd, you know, people getting persecuted for saying something.
Mhm.
And we have a First Amendment. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen. You know, you don't have to, I mean, shut it off.
Yeah. No, mom was talking the other day. We were talking, and there was a guy had come out. I don't know if he's working on the property next door or was helping her with something. And, you know, they live, she's in a very, that we're about to move to. It's a very conservative, small, sweet town, you know, but very,
Sasquatch country.
very conservative, you know, beliefs and whatever, and a lot of, you know, church going people and whatever. And
We have a great governor.
great governor,
Great
yes,
governor. Yep.
Sarah Huckabee.
Yep.
Um, and you know, my mom has, you know, done oil and gas work and been on the road and whatever. And then before that, she's, you know, had this whatever. She lived very free and whatever. And so I don't know, she dropped an F-bomb or something, and he just like stopped and looked at her like she had four heads and whatever. And she's like, he goes, "What did you just say?" She's like, "Oh, that, you know, this fucking thing, whatever, blah, blah." And he was just mortified that she would say that. And she's like, she goes, "I mean, it's like an expletive. Like it's, you know, a word that gives something
It's a
more."
copperology.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
I don't even know what that means anymore. I just know that it means kind of something to do with cuss words.
I don't know. Uncle Cliff cusses all the time. Like I
He
don't,
does.
I would be careful around children, of course,
Yeah.
but if you're an adult and I'm around you and um I think that people have been I think that kind of control on people to like don't use certain words or this and that, like that just is very, why are they telling you not to use certain words? Like, well, because they have
Right.
power, you know, or they have
You know, but again, you know, why are you censoring people? And I
as
mean, I
long
get
as
it. I mean, there's
you're
certain
not
places where you
harming.
don't want a school teacher up there, you know, with little kids in kindergarten, you know, dropping all kinds of, oh, you
Right.
know, talking
Or
about,
or you're not calling someone, you know, you're not harming an individual. You're not calling someone a name or a word. You know what I mean? You're not using
yeah,
it to harm another person. Why would that offend someone? I don't know. I just think it's really
it
strange.
only offends you if you choose to be offended. I mean,
Right.
really, is what it
Right.
comes down to.
Yeah. Anyway, thought it was
Your
interesting.
choice, your choice.
Um,
But what I was going to say, real quick, I
yeah.
mean, in that interview, I mean, this is where it came from. It's JD Vance. You know, he used. I had to write it down because I forget everything. He wrote. Somebody told him, and I can't remember who it was. You have to watch it. Oh yeah, Kamala speaks in gypsy curses because he talked about she can spend 500 words, and then you listen to it and you think she said nothing except the same thing over and over again. And he says it's like a skill, it's like an art form. And he says, it's almost like she's using gypsy curses. I mean, the way she speaks, and you think about it, it's kind of funny. Gypsy curses, the way she's saying things, over and over and back and forth, and it's like spells, casting spells, like a witch or something. It's very interesting.
So, did you see Candace Owens' interview about talking about Kamala's history? She's been going into people's.
Oh, yeah, she's been looking in the background, and why do we not hear about it? Just like Obama, why do we not know about all the real history? Why do we not know about these people? Where you came from, and you think, okay.
Aquarian Napping says, I heard cussing breaks the spells on you in this language. That makes sense because it's a frequency thing.
Yeah, it's like a hard break when you say, it's like, okay, that just like disrupts all the frequencies in the room.
Laughing does the same thing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. You know how Benny always says like he laughs?
Yeah, and that's what he says. He laughs. It's like dispels the curses almost. It's just like it's kind of.
Which that gives me chills.
You have no power. I'm laughing. The comedic value of things. It's like you disarm everything. It is interesting. And he may know that he's doing that. He may not know he's doing that. Subconsciously, he may know he's doing it.
Right.
In his spirit that, this is the thing to disarm, the bad stuff. And it's pretty cool. We got a good group of people that have a lot of superpowers, I think, It's pretty neat.
That is really good. Yeah, so I know Candace Owens was looking into the background of a lot of people, and she was saying that a lot of Kamala's background lined up with Obama's, with like CIA.
Yep.
Again,
I think they were groomed. I mean, from the farm. They were grown from the farm to, and I think there's many more of them out there. And it's just that, well, here's the time to put this one in or that one. And they've got all these little assets running around. It's like, hey, we need Bin Laden to do this. Let's blame it on him. It's like Tim Osmond. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but that's why it always goes back to me. I mean, when you search for what is the root core of the problem, and I always go back to the money. I always go back to the fact that if they can create unlimited amounts of money, they can create all this tyranny. They can create all these agencies and fund these things and buy people off and compromise people and pay people to compromise people. And it's just that it's the money. I mean, if you had sound money, you got to get a bunch of people on a boat and go pillage, across the Atlantic, to go take their gold so that we can fund wars in Europe. Well, now it's like, you need $1 billion, you need $1 trillion, whatever. Yeah. It's easy now. And then, but the people who are willing to take that, I mean, if you're a mercenary and you're going to go fight, speaking of mercenaries, what happened in Russia this week where we had former military soldiers getting caught in Russia. Former U.S. soldiers caught in Russia that are now mercenaries, apparently. And, it's like you see their bodies. It's like, oh, shoot. Why are these people over there, inciting, violence in Russia and the Ukraine war? But, I mean, if you're a mercenary, you want to get paid in something that has value. And at the time, it's like, hey, you're going to have to give me gold or silver. Now, I mean, to take the fake dollar, and so many people have done that to serve, a dark lord. I mean, it's worthless. I mean, it's garbage money, so as long as we continue to participate in that and accept that and think that has real value for our energy, then we lose. And so hopefully people wake up, and the Federal Reserve note needs to get destroyed. I mean, that's like number one thing for me. Destroy that, go back to some sort of sound money, fixed money, something that has real value, and that fixes a lot of problems right there.
Absolutely. So that leads me to a couple of things. So many things.
Gotta do the weave.
Apparently the linemen in North Carolina are walking off the job because they haven't been paid by FEMA in over 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Now almost 9 weeks. And that's in Cliff High's data that government workers would, or people being paid by the government would start walking off the job. And taking things, and we were talking with Benny about this last night, and I was like, are there things you would take if you weren't being paid? And he's like, yeah. He's like the tools, the wire, the whatever. Go ahead.
100% that's in Cliff's data, because that's why, and even Bix talks about this a lot, to where you're going to store your silver or gold in a warehouse and have somebody vault it for you and think that it's safe. When everything falls apart, those guards, they're going to look out for themselves, and they're going to be pillaging it, and they're going to take it home with them for their families. I mean, they're not going to, some guy, somewhere that's got his silver vaulted, and so they're going to look for things of value when everything falls apart and they realize they're not getting paid. Like, okay, fine, I'm going to take this monster box and I'm on my way. And that's what will happen. So, I mean, it's very important right now to have things in your own possession, because this is stuff, linguistically at least, that Cliff saw happening, specifically with silver, I think.
Yeah. Also, there are other countries that are bringing forward proof, documentation. So I know Putin just filed the thing against Google, a decadillion or whatever. I don't know. The more than the world's GDP lawsuit against Google.
I made the joke. It's like, you get 3 life sentences.
Yeah.
It's like you get 10 life sentences. Like, wait a minute.
Insane. Against Google for bringing bad press or suppressing information about the Kremlin. That's one thing. This is another one. The first video, is the Prime Minister of Hungary exposes a document proving George Soros is largely behind global immigration, migrant invasion, which we all knew that Soros has been paying for the migrants. I mean, we all knew that he also paid. I don't know if you guys remember this. Remember in 2020 when he paid to have felons pay for their whatever their fines were, so that
to get them out of jail.
Vote in Florida.
Yeah.
It was like, well, if they still had fines, they couldn't pay because they had felonies. But
how many states attorneys, district attorneys are on the till from Soros? I mean, the one in, I think, I've heard in St. Louis, that's one of them. And it's, and Kamala was a part of the whole Minnesota thing. It's like, oh, all you rioters, that's fine. Let's have a fun and raise money. Oh, but they didn't ban that from getting transferred on PayPal, unlike the truckers in Canada. No, that's fine. We'll bail out all the criminals and let it, that did bad things, and get them out of jail. And I mean,
and then the second video is Judge Joe Brown exposes Camala is funded and owned by Soros. Also, I saw a thing where Camala and what was the other guy? Shoot.
Montel?
No, some other guy. Oh, I know I have it. Got paid. They each got paid $500,000 for letting P. Diddy know that he was getting.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that came out of the Justice Department. Came out of basically the Biden administration. Tipped him off, is what it's looking like. Hey,
so he destroyed a bunch of stuff. Which I'm like, if that's in her, there has to be a paper trail that shows her.
Somebody gave the order. Somebody, there's got to be text messages. There's got to be, conversations. There's got to be something. And they have all our stuff.
I mean, there's so much stuff, guys, coming out. Oh my gosh. Also, the biggest dump, or one of the biggest dumps. This was also very interesting. So 953 billion was wiped out in the stock market yesterday, which was on October 31st, which was coincides with the big stock market crash before the Great Depression. Like history rhymes sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, $1 trillion. I mean, it's crazy because the whole crypto market's like $2.5 trillion. And we had $1 trillion wiped out from the stock market the other day. And I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal, because percentage-wise, it's not that much, because there's so much money wrapped up into it. But I mean,
they sent another 450 billion today to Ukraine. It's fine. Here's the decadillion.
Created her. Exactly. Putin's like, I'm getting ahead of this printer. I'm gonna go big, baby. How $1 one quadrillion, one that's a quick trillion.
Here's the Russian court fines Google 20 decillion, an amount greater than all the money in the world.
It kind of shows the absurdity of the money, doesn't it?
It does.
That it's just
A
what value does it
decillion.
have?
It sounds like something. What's that guy?
Austin Powers. Yes. I'll have 1 decitrillion.
Billion.
Yeah, 1 million is like 1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, inflation,
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing with inflation that kind of ticks me off. Both sides, they blame it on each other. The fact is, we're going to stop inflation. We're going to do this. And it's like, okay, inflation is just more money in the supply. You're creating more money, and so that money's got to go somewhere. And so if you create more money, that's why I say the Federal Reserve is the issue. As long as you have the ability to create more money, you're going to have inflation. And there's ways to, make things cheaper. But everybody, when they talk about inflation, they're talking about price inflation, the cost of things going up. That's inflation. But no, that monetarily, that is not inflation. Yes, it's price inflation, but we're talking about monetary inflation to where, I'm going Ron Paul here. When you create more money, that money, you're inflating the monetary supply. And when you do that, it's not just going to sit on the sidelines. It's going to go somewhere. It's going to buy things up. And it's like, if you've got access to the money first, if you're BlackRock, you're like, let's just go buy all the houses, and then we'll just sit on them. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon when there's a supply crunch, the price of the house is double. And then they say, well, maybe we'll start selling some of them now. We doubled our money. And, and then so now you got to go get it, and you got a higher interest rate, on the mortgage, not historically, but, historic, in our lifetimes, the past 20 years kind of high. And it's just that, how they manipulate things. And it's just, it all goes back to the money and who creates the money.
Well, I heard they were somebody was suggesting the Fed take up the digital dollar again. And I'm like, why?
I know, we're back to the CBD thing. It's getting thrown out there again.
The fox in the hen house again. Like, what are you guys thinking?
I know.
Like,
it's got to be tied to something. It's got to be anchored to something. The money has to be anchored to something. Otherwise, it doesn't have any kind of value. So there's got to be some sort of standard, as far as money. And money, constitutionally silver.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
When are they going to read that Constitution thing again?
I've got one here. We can read it. It's not that long.
Trump did just say that he pledged as a president that he will rival woke colleges and universities by creating the American Academy, which will be a free school that offers world-class education to all Americans. The AA degrees will be recognized by the government, just like university degrees. This institution will gather an entire university of the highest quality education, making content covering full spectrum of human knowledge and skills, and make material available to every American citizen online for free. To reduce costs of college by taking the blank check away from university industrial complex and creating competition. So I think that's pretty cool. I love
That'll probably happen in about 2 years as soon as I paid for my daughter's education.
Yeah. And then that'll be worth nothing. She'll have to go back.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you got your piece of paper. You should have went to see the wizard. He give you a document. I stick with the little dog. Toto.
What do you think about this whole threat from North Korea? The Kim Jong.
I don't even know. What's he saying? I don't even see it.
So he declared a launch of his 19 missile as a warning and a threat to South Korea.
I don't know. Ramping things up and
just more fear mongering.
Yeah, I really, we talked about it last night a little bit, in my drunken stupor. I just don't bring up Bitcoin while I've had too much to drink. I'll tell you what I think. But it was, Lord, no, are we going to have an election? What's going to happen? And I've had people reach out to me. It's like, are you concerned? Should we be away from big cities? Should we do something? And to me, I'm like, well, I'm kind of already where I need to be, because that's my life choice path.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, my gut tells me there's a lot there talking. But my gut tells me that I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I just don't feel it. I don't feel that we're going to, have riots in the street and martial law and all this stuff. I'm not feeling it. I could be wrong. If I am, then use me as a contrarian indicator, like Jim Cramer, I guess. We'll soon know. But I think it's, I think Trump and Vance are going to win. And I mean, then it's because you remember in 2016 when Trump won, we're like, oh shoot, now what? Is he going to make it to Inauguration Day? Oh man, so you got that waiting game.
Man, but once he won in 2016, do you remember? It was like they went to work. Like it's this picture. There was round table. They were doing
And I think more so now. I think it's much more well organized. I saw an interview from there's a nice little documentary out there now. I can't remember what platform's putting it out there, but they have access to the Trump campaign right now. A lot of good stuff, behind the scenes stuff, to see how things operate. And Byron Donaldson, I think, was interviewed at one point. He says, well, you saw 2016, you saw 2020, you saw it now. I mean, what's the difference now between those other campaigns? And he says it's much more organized. It's much more a well-oiled machine. It's much more fluid.
They were going to work. Like they were having think tanks nonstop. They had, what are the issues? And then they got the smartest people in the room, and they were like talking about finding solutions, doing work. Like it was nonstop, over and over and over. Yeah. And I believe they were taking action or starting to build solutions to take action. We'll see. And this was very interesting to me.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys hear this?
Top of the day, TikTok. Yeah, a lot of things floating around on the news and so forth. Those reporters putting that bull crap of what's going to happen, what they perceive to happen. They want to call us garbage. You want to call us garbage? We're the ones that protected your ass when shit was rough, while you was home sucking on mommy's tit. Yeah, we the real deal. Gonna fuck around and find out who we really are, because we don't play that. We don't play that at all. You might have some plans. They might have some plans, but we got plans of our own. We got plans of our own. Not that you got to hear about them. The funny thing is we don't even have to talk to each other. We already know. We already know. So when that time comes and you turn that switch on, we're going to give you everything that you ever asked for and then some.
So when the military says we don't even have to talk about it, we don't even have to talk to each other, because they already know the rules. So I made this statement. I remember I was going through my divorce, and I was like so scared, whatever, all this. And I was like, yeah. And I found out what I was finding out what the rules were. And I was like, oh, well, we need to tell my ex, he better do this and that, because this is the law and whatever. And my attorney's like, no. That's just the law. And we don't have to threaten him because the law is on our side. So if he does not comply, then the law will come down on him. But in that situation, it takes so long because you have to let time run out. And then the law comes down on them. It is so hard because you have to let them hang themselves. And that is the place where we are right now. That is what I believe. And that is where we are. And I do believe that. And so I hope that's where we are. I think that's where we are. They don't have to talk about it. They don't have to threaten anything.
Yeah, I think everybody knows at this point, it's kind of been internalized. We've seen the shift in a lot of people. It was a radical change, 2016. I mean, that establishment system, and it kind of got turned on its head a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's I can see both sides of it. It's like, oh man, you should have done this. Trump should have done this. Trump, if you look at how many people through this whole process since 2016 till now, 8 years, how many people are more aware of certain things? How many people are aware of the monetary system? How many people are aware of the deep state? How many people are aware of all the things that were taboo to even talk about anymore. People are afraid to talk about it. I don't want to say deep state, I don't want to say that word, and it's just, but now it's like, kids laugh about it on TikTok. It's like, yeah, of course there's a deep state, and it's just in that 8-year period, the shift and kind of that knowing that has kind of imbued itself into our subconscious is, it's a different world now than it was then. And so, that whole legacy system is kind of fallen on its face. And that's a positive thing because, people need to wake up. People need to, realize what you're dealing with. Realize that these are vampires in a casino. And, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was in the casino. I thought this was real. I thought this was reality. This Plato's cave thing. It's like all these shadows. And it's like, wait a minute. Those aren't the real things. It's just a, derivative of, reality. So it's positive. I see a lot of positive things that are happening, and we'll see what happens.
And people have had enough.
Yeah, and I think so. You put some people to the wall that ain't no going back.
Excited. So this is Nicole Shanahan. This was RFK's pick for VP. Brilliant, amazing young lady, and she was disgusted when she saw Jill Biden wearing a panda suit. And she says, like, this is enough.
Right in front of our eyes, the parading of Jill Biden in a panda suit yesterday, right in front of our eyes. What the hell is this mockery? No more.
No more.
No more. No more.
No more.
And there are some who would look at that and say, oh, she's wearing a panda suit. But the people who know and the people who have looked into things and understand symbolism, symbolism will be their downfall. I mean, when you understand that, obviously she does. And, some people may say, well, what do you mean they're mocking us? So what does that mean? Are they saying that China is taken over, at the very surface level, China, pandas come from China, I mean, but no, it's a deeper thing, when you really look into what is the panda eyes, what is that symbolism? And you start searching that and you understand that. She obviously understands it. And she's angry about it. And you should rightfully be angry once you understand that they're 100% mocking you. And then the whole nibbling on the babies and, doing
on a baby chicken.
This is some vampire stuff, man. This is like weird. I mean, totally strange. What is this all about? I mean, there's something else going on here. They're like playing some kind of game that I'm not 100% sure of. I am, but in general, people got to look at that and say, this is kind of strange. What is happening?
Yeah, they have to say enough.
And this is somebody that's, in the spotlight, like you said, RFK's running mate that is bringing this stuff out. And I mean, and when you understand what she's saying, she knows what's happening. And I think all those people up there know what's happening. And I'm very hopeful that we've assembled, people that are going to come in and clean house. That's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah. And these days specifically are significant. So that's where, like, with that officer, that military gentleman who was making that statement, Halloween is a significant holiday, also November 1st. And so people are like anticipating that, like, people have had enough. They're done. It's in their face. There's a lot of things that they're putting out there, and then things are being undone as well, where like CNN is calling out and showing that Kamala is two-faced, that she's saying like, oh, I'm for the Jews and for Israel and for Hamas. I'm, really trying to put it out there and show the truth to people. Like, and at some point I saw a friend on Facebook, and she said, like, please be humble enough that even if you get down to the last minute and you decide to change your mind, like, be humble enough to say, I've changed my mind. on whatever side of the camp you're on. Like, don't be so prideful that you're like, wow, I heard something but because I have said this for so long, I'm just going to be in a camp, instead of saying like, I heard something horrible, and because of that, I can't stay in this camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
And
basically,
myself included. You know?
yeah, a quest for the truth. I mean, once you
Yeah.
see the truth and once you understand the truth, I mean, you've got to acknowledge it. I mean, and it's just because it's your team, and you want to be a winner, want to be with
Not
winners.
about the team. Yeah.
No, it's really not. And that's why you trust yourself. I mean, you really do. You need to use discernment and make the decisions that are the best. I mean, because, you just have to do that. I mean, you got to save yourself. I mean, you got to make the decisions that are right. And you know what? Sometimes you got to eat some crow, a little humble pie. And that's okay. I mean, it's just like, okay, when different facts present themselves, it's like, okay, well, now I got a different opinion. I didn't know this. And, acknowledge that and accept that. But, you can't be right all the time.
Do you know?
You can't win all the time. Somebody's going to come and knock you out. Somebody's bigger and somebody's stronger. And I mean, it's just the way it is.
And then you're learning. So my husband always says, you win or you learn. I am curious, do you have knowledge of this? So Trump purchased the old post office in DC before he took office, and then he turned it into the whatever hotel.
He talks about that a lot. Oh, what's it called now? The Plaza or something. I can't remember the hotel name, or is that the one?
Oh, I have it in here, but it's
but he mentions that a lot, and it's interesting.
There were the bells of Congress in here, in the building.
The what?
The bells of Congress.
Well, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. The bells.
Know the difference? The bells of Congress were in this building. Because I was trying to look into this, but I'm like, walk, 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 trying to read, walk, walk, walk. It was and of course, I don't want my volume on because I don't want to disrupt, I don't want to upset somebody. I'm trying to be considerate. Did you know that Washington, D.C. original name was Rome, Maryland? And it was enslaved under Egypt. So I have not gotten into this. If anybody knows more about this, I'm very, I love to go down a rabbit hole. I am Alice. And I am very curious about this. And I love all this tie with I know there's there about the post office and all of this. So I'm very curious about all this. Why would he buy the post office building unless that was part of, and it was originally our banking system. So was that part of freeing all of us, or the sovereignty? I don't know. I'm very curious about all of this.
I don't know. All I know is when I was a little kid, I lived next to a church, and it was a small town, and they had this big bell. And I would sneak out there at night and I'd ring the bell, this big bell, bong, bong, and I'd run away. And, but there's something to be said about the bells, and the frequency and why we had those things. And, they all put off a little bit of a different frequency. And what's that do? Just like you said, language interrupts the stream, it cross the streams, there's something about the bells that are, I think there's something to that. I've looked into it a little bit.
Frequency.
Yeah.
It was called the Bells of Congress. The part that I had read when I was trying to walk and read at the same time. And I think there's a there. I don't know what it is yet, but I haven't been able to do my research on it. I'm very curious about the Bells of Congress and how that ties in. So, but it's now like a Trump hotel or whatever in DC. And I think that is the one that he went down the escalator in, right?
I don't know about that. I think that's the one that he stopped the, when he was elected, the inaugural, the procession, when he was going down DC. And it was interesting because, you look at him and you think, why does he use certain things? Because he hits on it. He says, they stopped traffic in DC and we're going down the road and, we're going down the wrong direction on the road. Usually it goes this way. They stopped. It's a one-way street and we're going this way, in the limousines. And, I jump out, I get out and I see that building that I built, and I stop, and just all of it. He talked about it in his Rogan interview, and it's just, I don't know, it's interesting that he brings certain things up, because if you watch
say things not on purpose.
No, and I mean he's an interesting cat. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. Definitely, he drops some things.
IT2. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's an interesting time to be in, to be alive. That's all I can say. Got some larger than life characters right now. I mean, like I said it last week, we've got some archetypal type characters that are on the center stage, and kind of like a Greek play playing out or something. I don't know, Shakespearean almost.
This is the 1 hour interview. I mean, you guys can go watch it. It's on Alex Jones, where she's talking about, Candace Owens talking about the Kamala Harris hallmarks of a CIA mind control slave, real world mentoring candidate. You can check that out. It was very interesting.
And that's all real stuff. I mean, that's all been, vetted. I mean, that's stuff that happened. I mean, they're like grooming people, and just, all this dark money, and, and the paperclip stuff, you got these weird scientists, trying to do things.
Did you see the Spain canceled the weapons deal with Israel, and then immediately after they had the flooding that led to the flooding in Italy and all of that?
I did. Valencia, Spain, I think. It was horrific. I mean, you look at some of those images, but that's climate change. That's global warming. Global warming.
But then there was somewhere where they accidentally left the radar on while they were discussing it. And it was very strange.
Listen, if you're worried about a carbon, it was, this is fresh in my mind, listening to JD Vance and Rogan about climate change. And it kind of aligns with Cliff. It was funny that JD, he was talking about, we're actually, and maybe Rogan said it, we're kind of in a global cooling period. If you look at it historically, you can take, a slice of, it's like the news, you can take a clip and say, oh, this is the truth. It's like, but you don't see the whole big picture. The big picture is, and I think Cliff even mentions this, that we're in kind of a global cooling period historically. And that's a lot more dangerous than, heating of the planet. Okay, so if the planet is heating and we have a carbon footprint and somebody benefits from that and makes money from it, okay, why not plant more trees? I mean, that takes the carbon dioxide, and turns that into oxygen. I mean, so it's just that, why are we trying to, have carbon credits and, use a financial system to save the planet? I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of it's a scam. It is. And they talked about a lot of this stuff being like a quasi religion. I mean, they like have these rules that they follow, and they have to worship these ideals and these things that, it's become a religion for a lot of people. This global warming, climate change, green deals, and, the transgender thing. It's like a religion to these people. I don't know. Dark, inverted religion.
There's some sick people in this world.
Anti-human.
That's
what it is, more than anything.
Sick things to people. Yeah.
Yeah. I got my notes here. The Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, said, had a press conference about the Dominion voting machines and how they're broken. I mean, they're not doing things the right way.
She might get sued because Dominion threatened if anybody talked bad about their machines.
But you know what? You think of the words that they use, Dominion, it's almost like this dark energy word, Yeah. It's like, we are Legion, that kind of thing. And it's, you go back to why these things were implemented. We used to have paper ballots, and, oh my gosh, we have a crisis. We don't know if George W. won or if Al Gore won. We have dangling chads. Oh, we need to put a bunch of money into voting machines and put all these electronic voting machines in. And I'm thinking, every time I go to the ATM, it never gives me more money than I request. You know what I mean? It's always right. So they get that right. They can count these bills and, they spit these things out. However, when it comes to counting the votes, things happen and passwords get dropped on a piece of paper, and then maybe somebody can hack into these things. And it's like, why can't we count the votes by hand? I mean, why can't we, just do it legitimately instead of, having these, the software has glitches and sometimes they're intentional. And then you look at the people that own these things and who benefited from it. You look at Michael Chertoff, the whole Homeland Security thing. I mean, you look at it through history and to where it's this problem, reaction, solution thing. And they knew, I think, in 2000 that they were going to roll out all these things, all this tyranny, and they needed excuses, and they created the problem. We reacted, and then they had the solution ready to roll out. Got the Patriot Act ready to roll out. Oh my God, all these people. We had no idea that planes could hit buildings, but hey, we got this thing here that's going to enslave people. I mean, it's just all a big rigged game. And like I said, when you see it, you can't unsee it, and you understand that you're being manipulated and steered down a path. And at some point, it's like, okay, I'm getting out of line and I'm going down this tributary. I'm not going down the main river. And if enough of us go down different, tributaries and arteries of the river, and we become unmanageable and uncontrollable, that's a good thing. When we decentralize and get to that point to where it's like, okay, nobody's following orders anymore. What do we do? Let's blow something up. And it's like, whatever. I'm not doing, you're not, gaslighting me anymore.
Maybe just put a trash bag on and grab a big pink sign.
Like Charlie G.
And go vote for Trump.
Right. Charlie G. I'm going to go to the trash. You vote yesterday on Halloween. It's like, I'm going to go as a
I was so proud of him. I was like,
that's so awesome.
Tweet of the day.
I love it. Yeah, that's the winner. Yeah, that's winning.
He's winning.
Send me a Litecoin. You can send me your MWeb address. I'm going to send you some Litecoin.
Winning. Yeah. Charlie G won the day for me yesterday, for sure.
No, it's worth it. Oh, it was a trash bag.
Yeah. That was
Road to hell is paved with unworn trash bags.
So there was this sign when we were voting, and it said, you can't wear any hats or political whatever. You can't have any whatever. And I was like, that's freedom of speech. Like, that cannot be a statute. And it had like a statute thing. Like,
it's like electioneering or something. It's like you can only be so many feet away. You saw Orangeburg. Daddy O, he was talking about Orangeburg. He made a comment on it. It's like, that's why Orangeburg's the armpit of South Carolina. Because there's a video and you've got all these election workers like, you can't wear that hat in here and vote. Because he had a Trump hat on, I think. And
I understand they can't have political signs like out stamped somewhere. But if I choose to have on my body, or I choose my freedom of speech, you cannot take it off of me or take my hat off or whatever. Like, the political group can't have signage out, but my freedom of expression.
Right. You're violating your First Amendment right. And it's like, this guy's not doing anything other than it's just like, hey, the drummer from Def Leppard's running and he's only got one arm, and you come in as an amputee and you only got one arm, and like, oh no, you can't vote. You're supporting this guy because you only have one arm. And it's like, but I only got one arm. I mean, he just has it's like, what the fuck?
It was insane. So my Charlie wore his black MAGA hat, dark MAGA hat, and they had that sign up there, and they were like, no hats, no whatever. And he's like, fuck them. He's like,
well, I got alopecia or something, on my head, or whatever. And it's just like,
just that is my right to free speech. Like, I'm wearing my hat that says MAGA, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm not taking it off, whatever. And no one said anything to him because I think they know they're wrong for posting it.
Sure they are.
They are misinterpreting the law.
Exactly. They're missing the flavor and the intent of what that is.
Right. The law is about no political signs.
Yeah, it's like somebody out there, harassing people. It's like, hey, here's a pamphlet, this is why you need to vote for this candidate. Oh, and harassing people. It's like, there's no harassment. I'm just walking in, I got my hat on, so I got my clothes like any other.
Two separate things.
I'm always wearing a whiskey shirt, so I walk in and it's like, oh, a dry county and vote or something. It's like, well, you can't wear that shirt, sir. You can't have the whiskey on the shirt.
So there is the law, and then there's interpretation of the law.
Yes.
And this is where, like, so speaking of some really terrible people, the SEC, there is the law, which, you know, our legislatures are entrusted to, you know, our Congress or whatever are entrusted to, like, put the bill on Capitol Hill. You guys remember the little
I'm just a
cartoon when we were
bill.
little? Schoolhouse Rock.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be speaking for we the people and putting bills together, and then putting them through Congress and putting bills together. And then the SEC is supposed to be protecting we the people, but of course they're not. Instead, they're going after things that don't protect us. But like it's so backwards and upside down right now. It's so frustrating.
Mhm.
We have to turn this thing around. We have to fix it, whatever. I don't know. It's terribly frustrating once you get involved.
We gotta be ourselves, and again, it's like, hey, that's my right to wear whatever I want. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're going into a private club. I used to run a nightclub, and I mean, there's a dress code. It's like, hey, you can't have your pants down by your ankles.
Well,
Hey,
just like somebody coming in my house. No,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
not
It's like, take your damn shoes off. If you're in Hawaii, take your shoes off. It's a known thing. You don't walk in the house with the shoes on.
Right.
And it's like, because that's just not the way you do things.
Right.
And it's like, with your house, you make the rules.
Right.
And it's like, if you want to come in and you want a piece of whatever, you want Charlie's food, you're going to come in and follow Charlie's rules.
Right. There's private and there's public. Yeah.
Right. And this is a public thing. And it's just like, so all the rules apply. Free speech, First Amendment.
Right.
You're not doing anything that's, I don't know. These people just take things too personally and try to make an agenda out of it. And
But then when they're manipulating the law that was written for the public to then weaponize that against individuals, that's
weaponized.
wrong.
Weaponized, yep.
Yeah. That's lawfare. And that should not be, no one should stand for that. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, tomorrow's another day. And I'm thirsty anyway.
Tomorrow.
Bring on the rain. Yeah.
It's here we are. A few days. We'll see what happens.
I don't know.
Pretty much covered everything on the list, I think. Yeah.
What did you think about you guys kind of calmed me down with last night. I was like,
yeah, with language.
Gold dumping, and you guys were like, slow your roll, Lisa.
And it's like, don't let these vampires hijack the things that, we use on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're talking about rainbows, talking about pizza, talking about, whatever the language is. And it's like, we're using it in the legit normal sense. And then these people come in and invert the meaning of it. And so we can't even talk about it now, because these people want to invert it into something else, things that are, that bring joy. Good. And then they want to make it into something else. And so now we can't even have a discussion. We can't even use the word. And that's what they do, though. I mean, they're inverted people. They are...
don't let them steal your sunshine. Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. That's it. And, know the intent of how it's being used, I guess. I mean, and a lot of times the intent is good and it's normal, but they've bastardized the language and they've hijacked the language like they always do. And, oh my gosh, I took a picture of a rainbow. Oh, you must be gay. You posted a rainbow on X. And it's just...
So when I was a little girl, my absolute favorite color was purple. And
mine too. I saw the purple clouds coming, and there's purple that somebody else talked about today.
And unicorns, because I grew up in the early 70s, and that was my favorite thing. And now all of a sudden, all that represents is gay marriage, and I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with.
That was my color.
That was my childhood.
I like my unicorns.
Like, that has nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It has nothing to do with sexuality and whatever. Like,
that's what they want to do. They want to debase everything, and they want to, try and, I don't know, whatever. I just
what's wrong?
Walk outside and do this.
Yeah.
mean, keep on walking.
Yeah. So crazy. So crazy. Anyway.
Well, I wrote something down last night. I don't even remember writing it down. It was so late. I think I came in the house at like 2:30. But I said, no more debts and regrets. We're all about freedom and dreaming.
Oh, nice.
I don't know.
Sounds like a tattoo.
Came out of a purple haze, last night on Spaces, I guess.
I think it should be a tattoo.
Mm-hmm. But not on me. Not on this temple, baby.
No,
I don't like needles.
no.
I don't mind them. The thing is, especially with teeth, I'll tell you what, that Novocaine, hit me up, brother. I don't want to feel a thing. That drill sounds enough for me. Ooh.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, no prick zone here at Westwood.
I don't like pricks either.
No, I don't like pricks.
I've met enough of them.
Yes, we've seen enough pricks in our lifetime. We
Yeah,
don't need any more. No prick
enough
zone.
of them in my life.
Nope. Check the chat out. Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. Even though you're looking for Johnny Litecoin, sorry, to disappoint. He's got the medium shirt on. I got like the XXX shirt on. It is what it is, and so you had to deal with Westwood tonight, not Johnny Litecoin. He's a great dude. He really is.
Great dude. Okay, did you see the fake UFO landing in Times Square in New York? It was super cheesy. Like it was clearly a light show.
Okay.
They did
a drone show.
It was very cheesy. It was not even good at all. Here, let me see if I can share it with everybody.
See, that could fulfill the language though that Cliff's talking about.
It
You know what I mean?
Just enough that it was like, oh, here's a little cheesy.
Yeah.
Very minimal. Here you guys go. See the little, oh, a UFO. And people are like, oh, it's clearly just like a light show.
Yeah.
See,
I need to grow a beard and do my full Orson Welles impersonation. We'll do a War of the Worlds episode or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a thing. If you're not part of the Telegram group, we have lots of great information we share in there. You can jump in the description of this video and join there.
Yeah, definitely join that. I mean, a lot of good drops that are in there, and you do your own research, But the thing is, we've got the opportunity now to go down whatever rabbit hole we want and see, how far do you want to research, how far do you want to go, and no, it's a good group to really, hash things out, I guess. Mm-hmm. Trust yourself.
And there's a lot of what ifs you can process for yourself and say like, oh, do I think this makes sense? Maybe so, maybe not.
Exactly. If I'm going to use a peer-to-peer electronic currency, we just had the 16-year anniversary of the white paper. Bitcoin just don't make sense to me.
That's true. Oh,
that does.
I do want to share one of my favorite. Okay.
Yeah, that does.
Probably my favorite artist in cryptocurrency is
Lucio Poletti.
Somebody sent this to me years ago as a surprise Christmas gift. And then one year I went to Bitcoin Miami. I got to meet Lucio Poletti. I have signatures. I have the NFT of this. I have this is signed, like all the things. And I just love, I have the active NFT. Like I have like a little dancing of Moneda Divina. Like it was very thoughtful. I don't know who sent it to me, but God bless you. It was so kind. I don't even know. Anyway,
that's pretty awesome. I mean,
it's super awesome.
Super anonymous. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so I went and had it matted and framed, and it's always been like my background thing. But for the birthday thing, he just released another one, and I always share his art because I just
it's great art. I mean, it really is
crazy beautiful, and I try to really promote his stuff.
We need to get him to do something with Litecoin, though. Just a
I
little
know.
Litecoin pick. But I get it. I love the art no matter what.
I love the Lucio Paletti. Also,
forget about it.
This one moving? No, it's not moving. Let me see if I can find the...
Don't make me turn the camera so we can see this, painting that's on the wall from the Litecoin Summit, with the dress and everything.
This one's not the active one, but if you go into his work, like his stuff, and I have a bunch of his little stuff too. He sent me also a bunch of his little stuff. Central bank money printing causes inflation that destroys purchasing power. Saving Bitcoin is the cure for this money. Like he has such.
It's all great stuff. It's like retro throwback stuff. I mean, it's just pretty cool. Like a Rosie the Riveter kind of thing. All the, and then the old Coca-Cola sign kind of look.
I love it. I think it's so cool.
It's just great. I mean, it really is. I mean, go check out Lucio Paletti. Get you some of that good artwork. It's pretty cool stuff.
Check out Lucio Paletti. I love him. He's so talented, and he's just been in the space for so long, and he's very talented and creative, and I'm a fan. So anyway, happy birthday,
Bitcoin. It's that spirit of freedom, that still lives, and we need to capture that, use that, live it. I mean, whatever it is, whatever form of, whatever tool it takes to have that freedom on a daily basis is an important thing, I think. And so we can't let that spirit die. We have to keep that going, that spirit of humanity, that spirit of freedom of just being human and transacting our energy any way we want.
Mm-hmm.
We live at a great time. My daughter needed money last night. She didn't get paid until today. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm off on a little bit of a break, for fall, and it's Halloween. I want to go out and do the Halloween party and this and that. I ain't got no money, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I mean, and so I'm like, you know what? I'll send you a little Litecoin. And then the nice thing is there are platforms where she can take that Litecoin and spend it, and buy things that she wants to buy. And, so it's, we've got tools out there to use. I mean, they're meant to be used. I mean, don't just, I don't know. You got to put that energy back into the universe, and it's a good thing.
Jim, so that's Mom A. I will get an update from her. Last I heard, she was spending time with her daughter and family, so I will get an update.
Well, Zoidsoft, I should be pretty good though. If nicotine fights the stuff in the prick, even though I didn't have the prick.
Is there nicotine in tobacco?
Nicotine, baby.
Is nicotine in tobacco, or is nicotine added? Is nicotine the back?
No. It's naturally in tobacco, and I mean, with the cigarettes, they add a lot of stuff to it. A lot of chemicals. That's a lot of the problems, I think.
Okay.
With that industry, because anything industrialized and corporatized it's a whole different thing than taking the leaf that you grew out of the ground, rolling it up, aging it, and then lighting up and smoking it. I mean, there's nothing added. It's just right from the earth. But if you're, it's in a machine-made factory, a factory, machines and corporatized, and I mean, anytime you get corporations involved, anything that they make, it's probably not going to be a good thing because it's mass-produced and they're going to do it, multiple reasons, what they do.
Whoops. Hold on, let me turn this volume off. I didn't get any of these. Those are beautiful. I have not seen those. Anyway, he just does really cool stuff. I'm really behind. I haven't watched his most recent stuff.
It's wonderful digital art, and then as it's still physical art too, like you have, and so it's a pretty cool blend. A lot of people bought NFTs, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're buying an image on the blockchain. Really, you're paying for an address. It's nice to have the real thing. It's nice to have the physical thing, because I think ultimately, yes, digital money is great. Scarcity defined math money is great. However, we are human beings that live in a real world. So, having useful things, physical things that, help us live are good too. So, I don't think digital's everything.
Yeah.
Real things are important because, you do need oxygen, you do need water, you do need food, you need sustenance. You can't.
I just think he does a really quality.
Yeah, he does. He's a great
artist thing. No, I'm not getting any kickbacks or whatever. I'm a fan.
No, you're truly. I know you love his artwork. I know that.
I love his artwork and I love all the stuff. So, anyway. Oh gosh, we should go, Josh. I mean, gosh, all the things.
You're just joshing me right now. What's going on?
I'm just joshing you. What in the world? Do we have anything else we should cover? I'm trying to think. I know there's so much stuff.
Well, if you were here right now, you'd be covering up your feet, or at least have something wrapped around you. It's a little chilly. I got the door open for the smoke and roll, and
coming through the.
Yeah, it's a little chilled out here. As far as anything else that's very important to cover, yes, I'll do a spaces. I don't know when. What is probably about 8 o'clock. It's another half an hour or so. I'll set something up. Just looking at the notes. Oh, Michael Saylor says he's going to buy, or not he, but MicroStrategy is going to buy $42 billion of Bitcoin over the next 3 years.
So tired of hearing about.
I know, and it's just hey, we're going to take out loans and Federal Reserve notes, backed by the company to buy up Bitcoin and then hold the Bitcoin forever. Okay, cool. That's great. Use it. This is the most. This is my rant last night on Spaces, and it's just that I want something I can use. I want money I can use. I want something that when I need it, like last night, I have cash. I can send my daughter in Alabama cash.
Right.
What do I do? And so, you know what? I'll send you some Litecoin. And then you can do whatever you want with it. If you need to put that into fiat and then pay with a debit card, and buy the things that you need to do last night, cool. And I'm good with that. I don't care. It's well, did you pay $100 for that Litecoin and you're selling it for 70? And it's to me, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you can have a retirement fund of $1 million, but if you can't access it, it's worthless. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's useless if you can't get it out when you need it right now. And so to me, having the ability, having the tool to use when you need it, sit around and wait for the thing to show up. Hey, I need it right now. I need this, freaking, saw or something. And it's I need to cut this, I can't do it. I need a coping saw. I don't have a coping saw. What am I going to do? I need this particular tool. And so to me, that's why I am so big of a proponent on Litecoin, is because it's never failed me. I've always been able to use it. 13 years running nonstop. The network's never gone down. Transaction fees, I don't have to sit there. Bitcoin frustrates me to no end. How much it costs to send it, and then wait a day and a half for it to show up. I just had that experience a week and a half ago, and I'm just it's so irritating and so frustrating. And to me, I'm just I'm done with it. I don't care. Yes, you can make a lot of money because everybody's buying it, and Saylor's going to put money into it, BlackRock's going to put it, the U.S. government's going to buy it, and it's I don't care, because I don't need the aggravation, I don't need the frustration, I don't need blood pressure going up. I want something that works right now, and I'm okay, I'm good. And that's my whole philosophy. I want things that are useful, things that I can use, things that I can control, that are going to work. And if they don't work, I don't care what price you put on it. It's I'm a millionaire in my pension. It's okay, what are you going to do with it?
Isn't that
when I retire, I'll be able to take it out and I won't get penalized. And it's I don't want to be penalized. If I want to use it right now, don't penalize me. I want to use it.
Isn't that the
I want to be free.
Isn't that the Picasso in the attic? Because
yes, it is.
We do these estate sale things and whatever, and we're watching these people they've been hoarding these things, living in squalor.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily squalor. I mean, maybe some of these.
Well, yeah, but I mean, living beyond, how they could live.
But they've been living less than what they could have, because they've been hoarding an asset.
I got something special.
And living less than, thinking that they had something valuable,
Mhm.
And the pension, the well, I don't want to get penalized. So the thing that you think it isn't
It's your money.
valuable. It doesn't have that value if that means that you get penalized when you take it out. That means it's not worth that.
Right.
It's only worth what once you take it out and it gets penalized, that's what it's worth.
Absolutely. It's worth, it's just like, I love, I say this a lot.
The penalty, that's its value.
I know. I love the quote from Trading Places, with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. And Dan Aykroyd, they flip it. The rich guys, they have a little bet for $1. Hey, let's switch this black guy on the street, make him the CEO or whatever of the company, and then take Dan Aykroyd and put him on the streets and let's see what happens. It's a little psychological experiment. And so Dan Aykroyd walks into I think it's BB King, the pawn dealer, that plays the pawnbroker. And so he walks in and says, I got this watch I'm going to sell. And he's like, oh, it does this, it tells time and blah, 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 it's waterproof to this and that. And it's like, this thing's worth blah, blah, blah. And then he looks at him, he says, in Philadelphia, it's worth $50. Yep. And it's like, at the time when you need it, this is all you're going to get. Yep. You take it or leave it. So he sells it. Yep. And it's just like, because that's just the way it is. I mean,
free market.
Yes.
At the point of sale.
Right now. I need it right now. Well, I can get it to you tomorrow, and it's like, no, I need it right now.
No, but that is the big lie. All these people, the government wants to tell you that your house is worth this.
Right.
And if you sell it, you're going to have to pay capital gains. We're going to penalize you. So don't you dare sell it because we are going to penalize you this much. You're going to pay.
Hey, it's worth more money, but guess what? Now we get to assess it more, and it costs more money every year in taxes.
So that we can charge you more taxes. So
yeah, it's like, what's it really worth? It's the most illiquid asset out there is a house. I mean, it's maybe a pension is worse, but a house.
It's the same thing. A pension, a house, all the stuff that they can charge you taxes on, all the things they can charge you taxes on. Don't you dare sell it. Don't you dare.
Come here. The dogs just came in and they're nuts.
Don't you dare. Because they want to be able to charge you taxes. Right? All the threats and lies.
I know. All right, sorry.
No, you're good.
Hey, dogs. Crazy.
Hey, dogs. Are you ready to wrap it up? And
lazy dogs.
Talk later on.
We're good now. They're calming down. They're fine. Oh my goodness. Okay, so no, and that's it. It's like
hand talker. My mother and I are hand talkers.
No, same. Let me look at the chat real quick.
They're making fun of me talking with my hands.
I know. I do the same thing. I mean, the problem is I'm knocking stuff over all the time and swinging around. When I'm in the store or something, I'll turn around and hit some kid. And it's like,
don't hit a child.
I know. I don't mean to. But, people are
like, but I'm making points about so a house, don't have a Picasso in the attic. Use it. Don't let them mind F you. Mm-hmm. Don't have an asset that they're like, oh, that's what they're doing with the houses. They're inflating the prices of the house so that they can charge you a bunch of taxes. They're inflating, your pension. But if you take it out, you get penalized. Then was it ever really worth anything?
Right.
It's not worth that.
I mean, you can put numbers on paper and say it's worth something, but until you go to the market, until you sell it, until you take it, and say, hey, in Philadelphia, it's worth $50. Right. The market will decide. And I mean, it's just like playing games. My daughter, she'll play games and say, oh, look, I got this horse. It's a rare one. It's worth all this money. And I'm like, okay, it's not until you sell it. I mean, what's the market going to bring? You might think it's worth that, but until somebody pays you for it, is it really worth that? You might think it is, but
no, that's where I love on my little, if you guys want to help support my channel, to be honest, go check out my eBay or my Etsy store.
Yeah.
So one of the greatest things I've learned is about free markets. So I go and I buy stuff and I try to buy it for 25 cents or $1. That is my goal. And then I try to find the highest sell-through rate, which means it is stuff that people want, that people are looking for. And I try to find things that people are looking for or they want. And then I like find it, whatever. And then on the eBay app, when you go and you find it, you have to click on the filter thing.
Yeah, sold items, past purchases, that kind of thing. Yeah. What did it sell for in the past?
Sold. And then you get the last 90 days, what the actual market price is, current market in the last 90 days. And that's not like, oh, what people are asking for it. Because I can ask anything for an item.
Exactly.
But what are people actually getting for the item? Because the market changes all
the time.
Anybody can ask anything for an item.
Right. Buy it now for $10,000. Oh, it's on eBay for $10,000. Then you go look. It's like, okay, what's the last one that sold? Oh, it sold for $500.
But in the last 90 days, what are people actually paying for that item? And so that's a free market. And that is that I think is what we are going back to. That's like a barter trade.
Hey, free markets are the way to freedom.
I know a guy who sings about that.
Yeah, I'm off tone or pitch or something. I'm off. I'm just off.
I'm super excited about it. I think we're going to have like a Veritasium, a V-Bay. I think we could have something like that. A Veritasium market. That was one of the things I suggested to Reggie to patent, or not patent. What is it called? Copyright or whatever.
Yeah, copyright. V-Bay.
V-Bay.
Hang on, let me do that right now. No.
V-Bay. Yeah. No, I suggested that to him.
I'd say for baby. No.
Very bay.
The baby. The baby.
Baby.
Baby mama. The baby mama.
I think that would be fun, because then that does get rid of this human trafficking of our energy, because then we're bartering or exchanging energy for items that we want or whatever. It gets rid of, because I think any form of money is human trafficking. That's my belief.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're hijacking your energy. I mean, they're trafficking your energy, and that's why I call them vampires. I mean, it kind of comes back to everything I've said. It's, that's what they do. They steal your energy. They produce nothing. They just hijack the system, and they're just stealing your energy. I mean, you're the ones that produce things. I mean, you're the one that goes out there and does things, with your energy. They do nothing. I mean, they don't. Just take your energy and use it up. Vampires.
Absolutely.
Exit the vampire casino.
So we will be on.
Yeah, I think we're going to go to Spaces.
We're going to go to Spaces. We will be on Clint Westwood, at Clint Westwood, on Twitter, X. You guys can find all the links at clintwestwood.net. And you can follow Clint Westwood.
I don't know. I might. Who knows where you're following me? But
you can follow him anywhere.
Enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. Take care, you guys. I love all of you guys. Thank you for joining us in the chat. We have one of the best live chats. It's a great part of the show. I enjoy it. Love to you all, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
They murdered my family. They thought they murdered me. My actions are not vengeance. No, not vengeance. Punishment.
Telling you that. Do you get it? We are in a war. It's a digital war. You just watch what happened a couple minutes ago, and then you're wondering, but why doesn't he tell us this detail right here? Why? Why the fuck do you think I don't? Are you pissed yet? You've got days to save your country. And when people do what they have to do, don't be fussing like somebody is overstepping the line. You hear that from somebody? Tell them to shut the fuck up and get out of our face. We're not letting the steal stand. Take that and stuff it right up your ass. It's not gonna happen. Am I being clear enough?
I know it's fun. Listen.
My administration will be here for you every single step of the way. We've done everything we can do, and now we're just waiting for the storm. And I guess it's right behind me. It's following me.
We're on the front lines of the most important battle in history, and it is the battle to save democracy and freedom and human liberty and human dignity from this totalitarian cartel that is trying to rob us simultaneously in every nation in the world of the rights that every human being is born with. So thank you for your courage, thank you for your commitment, and thank you for your brotherhood. And I can pledge to you that I will go down dying with my boots on, fighting side by side with all of you to make sure that we return these rights and preserve them for our children. And I will see all of you on the barricades. Thank you.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.